negotiations surrounding Matheus Fernandes, the young Portuguese midfielder from Sporting, remain one of the major talking points in the market for the London club. Recent reports state that the latest official bid was rejected, momentarily frustrating the transfer plans. Journalist Jacob Steinberg revealed that the offer amounted to £30 million with the possibility of a further £2 million in add-ons linked to the achievement of Sporting targets. In practice, it was only a slight increase compared to the previous bid, which was £2 million lower. Even so, Sporting did not accept the terms. This detail is significant because it shows that despite the intention to move forward, the English club does not appear willing to make substantial leaps in the fee offered. Such a modest increase suggests that the board is already close to the financial limit deemed acceptable for investing in Fernandes. This is precisely where the debate arises. To what extent does it make sense to keep raising the figure? And at what point would an offer above £30 million be seen as an excessive financial risk? From a Sporting perspective, the signing of Matheus Fernandes would bring obvious benefits. He is a modern midfielder who combines youth, technical ability, and vision. His range of passing could bring more fluency to offensive transitions, as well as provide greater connection between defense and attack. Another relevant factor is his age. He is a player still developing who could grow alongside the squad, fitting into different tactical systems. Unsurprisingly, there is evident excitement among the fans regarding the prospect of his arrival. The problem, as so often happens in negotiations of this scale, lies in the stance of the club holding the player's rights. Sporting know that Fernandes could be a key figure in their season's performance, which naturally makes it difficult to part with him at this stage. Furthermore, there is the prospect of increased market value in European football, something the board is reluctant to waste. In other words, unless the player himself pushes for a move, a very convincing proposal will be required for the transfer to materialize. While this stalemate drags on, another name that is regaining strength is Marc Casadó, a 21-year-old Spanish midfielder belonging to Barcelona. The youngster's situation is peculiar. Last season, he stood out and managed to earn game time, racking up 33 appearances, 5 goals and 1 assist. His performances caught the eye of scouts and even earned him call-ups to the Spanish national side, reinforcing the idea that he is a player of enormous potential. However, the current makeup of Barcelona's squad has drastically reduced his chances of regular football. This is due to several factors. Firstly, Marc Bernal has returned from a serious cruciate ligament injury and is available again. In addition, elite players such as Frenkie de Jong, Pedri and Gavi remain the key midfield references for the Blaugrana. In this context, the Catalan board has already made it clear that Casadó will struggle for minutes this season, no matter how much he wishes to stay and fight for his place. This naturally opens the door to the possibility of a transfer. For the player, the chance to earn regular minutes in a competitive league such as the Premier League is tempting, particularly as it could accelerate his development. For Barcelona, a potential sale would provide immediate financial relief since the club is still grappling with strict limitations imposed by financial fair play and needs to move players on to maintain balance. On the English side, there is a declared interest in bringing in the young Spaniard. However, the race is fierce. Wolverhampton and Real Betis have also made moves, and there is mention of another club to review, keeping a close watch on the situation. According to reports, Wolves have already tabled an offer of €30 million. The London club, meanwhile, have formalized a slightly higher bid estimated at €33 million, roughly £25 million. Even so, according to Jacob Steinberg, this sum is unlikely to be considered enough to persuade Barcelona to release the player immediately. At this point, then the key lies in the player's own hands. Barcelona do not intend to force him out, making it clear that should he wish to stay, he has the right to remain in the squad, albeit without the prominence he desires. However, if he chooses to take the leap and embrace the opportunity to play in the Premier League, he could accelerate his career and secure a more central role in another project. While the situations of Matheus Fernandes and Marc Casadó remain unresolved, other possibilities are beginning to gain prominence behind the scenes. The London club is urgently seeking to strengthen the midfield, and this is reflected in the number of names being assessed. Among them is Quinten Timber, the Feyenoord midfielder. The young Dutchman is the twin brother of Arsenal defender Jurrien Timber, a connection which naturally sparks curiosity. But beyond this interesting detail, the player has been attracting attention for the consistency he has shown in Dutch football, being capable of performing both defensive duties and supporting playmaking roles. Quinten Timber is seen as a viable option precisely because he combines physical strength with good reading of the game qualities that are highly valued in the Premier League. There has not yet been an official bid, but the information that he is on the watch list suggests he could become a concrete target should negotiations for other names fail to progress. Feyenoord, of course, are under no pressure to sell him, but English clubs always represent an opportunity for significant appreciation for Eredivisie players. Another player who has appeared on the radar is Romano Schmid, the Austrian midfielder from Werder Bremen. Schmid plays in a more attacking area of midfield and stands out for his ability to accelerate play and carry the ball between the lines. He has already been linked with other Premier League sides such as Aston Villa and Fulham, with values reported to be around £13 million. The fact that his name has resurfaced indicates he could be a more accessible alternative, especially if priority targets are not secured. Although he does not enjoy the same international profile as Casadó or Matheus Fernandes, Schmid could be an important complementary piece to add greater depth to the squad. At the same time, there have also been movements regarding André Santos, the young Brazilian owned by Chelsea. The London club made an inquiry to check the possibility of a loan deal, but received a negative response. Chelsea, who see André as a talent for the future, showed no interest in letting him leave at this time, and the talks did not progress. As a result, the board were advised not to pursue the matter further. As these options are evaluated, the situation of Edson Alvarez also directly influences the plans. The Mexican midfielder, who currently plays for the London club, is the subject of inquiries from different teams. At one point, he was said to be close to joining Fenerbahce on loan with an option to buy at the end of the deal. However, other bigger clubs soon entered the picture, among them Porto and Borussia Dortmund. This completely changed the scenario, as both offer the player a much more competitive stage in European football. In light of this context, Alvarez's future remains uncertain. While his destination is undecided, he continues to train and play as usual. But it is clear that any potential departure would create even more room for the board to go into the market in search of a replacement. This explains the large number of players currently being monitored. In summary, the board are working on several fronts simultaneously. The aim is to ensure that should the unexpected occur, the team are not left without alternatives. However, the challenge is to balance sporting ambition with financial responsibility. The club does not have an unlimited budget, and each proposal needs to be carefully calculated so as not to compromise the financial balance. Whether it be Matheus Fernandes, Marc Casadó, Quinten Timber, Romano Schmid, or another name yet to emerge, what seems non-negotiable is the urgent need to strengthen the midfield. The season has started, and it became evident already in the first matches that this area is the team's most vulnerable point. In the preseason friendlies and in the league opener, the midfield showed difficulties in controlling the tempo of games, both in defensive recovery and in offensive creation. This increases the pressure on the board, who must act before the transfer window closes. With each passing day, the margin for negotiation diminishes, and other clubs also enter the race for these players. As the figures involved are not astronomical, in most cases we are talking about 20 to 30 million pounds. Competition is fierce since many European clubs are attentive to young players with potential for appreciation. The ideal scenario would be to bring in at least two reinforcements. One midfielder with a playmaker's profile, capable of dictating the tempo and distributing passes, and another with more physical attributes, offering intensity pressing and ball winning ability. This combination could balance the department, enhancing players already present in the squad such as Lucas Paqueta and Jared Bowen. At present, both are having to drop deeper than they should in order to collect the ball, which harms their attacking output. If the board managed to conclude at least one of the ongoing negotiations, it will already be an important step. But the general feeling is that a single signing may not be enough. The priority, therefore, must be to accelerate talks and avoid hesitating over minimal increases in bids. In a competitive market such as the current one, persisting with incremental offers could mean losing the player to a more decisive rival. The season is still at an early stage, and there is time to correct the course. But the urgency is real. Without a more solid midfield, the team runs the risk of jeopardizing their entire campaign. The investment, therefore, should not be seen as an expense, but as a strategic necessity to ensure competitiveness in the league.